How you doing, Zaydes? It's my fan E. I'm sending you this video to let you know I wish you well. And you can do anything you put your mind to. With hard work and dedication, it's nothing you can't do. I hope this video made you smile. For sure.
We start here at 5 with a search for answers. This after a prominent local music artist is killed, gunned down overnight. This happened on the east side.
It happened near Washington Street on I-465. Tonight, our Ashton Hackman has how those close to the victim are reacting to his death.
Indianapolis, June 19th. 2:25 in the morning. A man is found bleeding inside his car outside a business on South Franklin Road. By the time paramedics get him to the hospital, he's already gone. His name was Eric Butler. But if you were anywhere near the Indianapolis rap scene over the last decade, you probably knew him by a different name, Lil E. And here's the part that's been sitting heavy with people all week. This wasn't the first time someone tried to kill him. Just 2 months earlier, in April, he survived a shooting outside a business, less than a mile from where he'd eventually take his last breath. He walked away from that one. He didn't walk away from this one. So tonight, we're asking the question everybody in Indy is asking right now. Who wanted Eric Butler dead, and why did it take 2 tries? Before we get into it, if you're new here, welcome to Shadow Crime. We dig into real cases, the ones still unfolding, the ones nobody's talking about enough. If you want to be here for every twist as this story develops, hit subscribe and tap that bell icon right now. Because if you don't, you're going to miss the next update on this case. And trust me, you don't want to be the person finding out a week late in the comments section. Okay, let's get into it. So, who is Eric Butler really outside of the headlines? For over a decade, he was a fixture in Indianapolis hip-hop, going by Lil E. We're talking real reach here. Almost 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, 35,000 followers on Instagram. His video for Hardly Breathe has racked up over 9 million views on YouTube. In 2019, he dropped what a lot of people consider his biggest project, Professional Shit Talking, a collaboration with Rio de Young OG. This wasn't some guy nobody had heard of. This was somebody with an actual following, actual influence in the city's music scene. But here's where it gets complicated, and we have to talk about it, because it's part of the story whether we like it or not. Eric Butler's name first showed up in the news back in 2015, tied to something called the Grundy Crew. This was a group prosecutors said was running a violent criminal operation out of Indianapolis, drugs moving from Phoenix all the way to Indy, and authorities linking the group to 7 homicides total. 11 people were charged that year, Butler included, and the charges against him were serious. Conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to deal marijuana, criminal gang activity. Now, before you jump to conclusions, here's what actually happened with those charges. And it's not what you'd expect. That's where I'm going to pause this installment. I'll be back with part 2 in a moment, and trust me, this story gets a lot more layered from here.
Here at 5 with a search for answers. This after a prominent local music artist is killed, gunned down overnight. This happened on the east side.
It happened near Washington Street on I-465. Tonight, our Ashton Hackman has how those close to the victim are reacting to his death.
Just after 2 Friday morning in this parking lot off Franklin Road, Metro Police found this silver car sprayed with bullets. 35-year-old Eric Butler was shot. He was taken to the hospital and died shortly after getting there. Butler was better known by his rapper name, Lil E, a fixture in Indianapolis' rap scene. His music drew hundreds of thousands of views online. Studio Drew worked closely with him as an audio engineer.
It's sad. It's my friend, you know what I mean? Like, he's a legend in the city where, you know, you hope it's not real.
But it is real, and for many around him, heartbreakingly familiar.
Before his death Friday morning, Butler was still recovering after he was shot in this parking lot along East Washington Street in April. That case also has gone unsolved.
Butler's life included brushes with the law, with some past convictions for drug dealing, but those closest to him say it's only part of his story.
He lived his life in front of the city. All the headlines, all the drama that he's been through, where the whole city watching, most people trying to tear him down, where he's lived his life on the front page and he's bounced back every time.
Drew and others who work close with Butler says he had record offers pending and believed his biggest opportunity was still ahead of him.
I think the whole city just has to find a way to be positive and let his music live on, let his whole life live on forever of what he meant to the city and his creativity of it.
Now friends hope the music outlives the violence and a creative voice remembered long after it was silenced. In Indianapolis, Ashton Hackman, 13 News.
And going on more than 12 hours later, police still have not shared any information on what led to the shooting or who they believe may be responsible. Anybody with information is asked to reach out to IMPD or you can call Crime Stoppers.
Okay, so remember those charges from 2015, the conspiracy to commit murder, the gang activity allegations, all of that. Here's what a lot of true crime channels won't tell you, because it doesn't fit the narrative they want. Those charges fell apart. By 2017, prosecutors had to drop the case against Butler entirely. Why? Evidentiary problems. And honestly, the whole Grundy crew case was a mess from the start. The conspiracy to murder charges against all 11 people got dropped after investigators found out a key witness had lied. So Eric Butler walked out of that one a free man. But here's the thing about a life like this. It rarely just stops. In 2018, he pleaded guilty to separate, unrelated drug charges. So we're not talking about one clean break from that lifestyle. We're talking about a pattern. And patterns are exactly what make this next part of the story so important to understand. Fast forward to September 2023. Indiana State Police are working a case on the city's near East Side, a house they believe is connected to crack cocaine dealing. They've got a confidential informant. They've done control buys. They get a warrant and they hit the house. And this is where it gets almost unbelievable. 14 people come running out of that house during the raid. 14. But the man police are actually looking for isn't with them. He's hiding in the attic. After multiple commands telling him to come down, Eric Butler climbs out of the attic window and gets taken into custody. Now stay with me here, because the details only get stranger. Troopers find cash on him that matches money used in the earlier drug buys. And then, completely unprompted, Butler tells police he doesn't have paint on his clothes. Nobody asked him about paint. It's not explained anywhere in the court documents. To this day, nobody really knows what that meant. He's charged with a level 2 felony, dealing cocaine, plus additional drug and firearm charges. This is serious. This is the kind of charge that can put someone away for a long time. So what happens next? In February 2025, a jury looked at all of it and they acquit him. Not guilty on dealing cocaine. Not guilty on dealing a narcotic drug. Not guilty on the firearm charge. Eric Butler walks free again. Now here's where I want you to really sit with this for a second, because I think this is the part of the story people are going to be talking about in the comments. A man who'd survived multiple brushes with the justice system, who'd just been acquitted months earlier, who was building real momentum in his music career. The kind of momentum a lot of artists never get close to. And then in April this year, someone shoots him. He survives it. But does he know it's coming back around? That's where we're going to pick things up next. Because what happens between that April shooting and his death 2 months later is the part of this story that's genuinely hard to wrap your head around.
But first, now at 4, IMPD is investigating 2 homicides that left 2 men dead overnight. Police say those crimes happened within a span of 6 hours. Thanks for joining us. I'm Leah Blackburn.
And I'm Rafael Sanchez. Fox 59's Jesse Wells explains how a violent past preceded both deaths.
Police do not think the 2 homicides, including the first one here at this apartment building behind me, are connected in any way, but they do share one thing in common. Both victims had extensive criminal histories and were no strangers to violence. Outside this business along Franklin Road just before 2:30 in the morning, 35-year-old Eric Butler was found shot in a car and later died at the hospital. Before his death, Butler had been in the news since 2015 when he and 10 others were charged as part of the notorious Grundy gang led by convicted drug kingpin Richard Grundy. While that case fell apart in 2017, court records show Butler later pleaded guilty to drug charges in 2018. In 2023, Butler was arrested again, but later acquitted following a drug raid during which our cameras were rolling as Butler climbed out the home's attic window.
If you're going to stay out there in the streets and be involved in criminal activity, one or two things going to happen. Either you're going to end up back in prison or you're going to be the victim of a violent crime.
In fact, in addition to being in and out of jail 15 times, Butler was wounded in a non-fatal shooting outside this business along East Washington less than 2 months ago in April. He was also a prominent local street rapper known as Lil E. Still, Reverend Charles Harrison says his case illustrates the importance of holding repeat offenders responsible.
From the courts, they got to hold them accountable, because if they don't, they're going to stay out in the street, still be involved in criminal activity, and either they're going to have to do something to someone or someone's going to do something to them.
The same story applies to a deadly shooting just before sunset Thursday night, where a 50-year-old man was shot inside an apartment building on East Washington.
We have almost no information right now. Obviously, it's an active investigation.
While police don't know what motivated that killing, before his death, that victim had been arrested 24 times. And court records show the 50-year-old was wounded and barely survived a stabbing at the same building less than 2 weeks ago. Because no arrests have been made in either case, anyone with information can still contact either IMPD's homicide office or Crime Stoppers. Jesse Wells.
So let's go back to April. Eric Butler is shot outside a business, an auto repair shop, less than a mile from where he'd eventually die. He survives. Police open an investigation. And right now, today, that case is still unsolved. Nobody has been arrested. Nobody has explained why someone wanted him dead the first time. Now here's where the story turns. 2 months pass. It's the early morning of June 19th. Around 2:25 a.m. IMPD gets a call, a person shot on the 200 block of South Franklin Road. Officers arrive and find Eric Butler inside a car, suffering from gunshot wounds. They get him to the hospital, but this time he doesn't make it. And here's a detail that genuinely surprised investigators that night. Butler's death wasn't the only homicide IMPD was working that night. Within roughly 6 hours, there was a second killing in the city, a 50-year-old man shot inside an apartment building. Police have said they don't believe the two cases are connected, but they did point out something both victims had in common. Both men had extensive criminal histories. Both were no strangers to violence. As of right now, police have not released any information about a suspect or a motive in Eric Butler's killing. Both the April shooting and the June shooting remain open investigations. We don't know if they're connected. We don't know who did it. And honestly, that's the most unsettling part of this whole case. Somebody out there knows exactly what happened, and they haven't said a word. One local pastor, Reverend Charles Harrison, spoke about Butler's death, and what he said is stuck with a lot of people this week. He said if you stay out in the streets involved in criminal activity, one of two things happens. You end up back in prison, or you become the victim of violent crime. Heavy words. But are they fair? Or is that too simple an explanation for a man who'd also just been acquitted, who was building something real with his music? And there's one more thing weighing on this city right now. Just weeks before Butler's death, another Indianapolis artist, a producer signed to Boozy Badass's label, was murdered at his own apartment. Two prominent voices in the same local music scene, gone within weeks of each other. So I want you to think about this with me for a second. If someone survives an attempt on their life, do they go quiet, or do they keep living the same way because that's all they know? Was Eric Butler given a second chance after that April shooting? Or was he already out of time the moment that first bullet missed? And what does it say about a city when two artists from the same scene lose their lives within weeks of each other, and nobody's been held accountable for either one? If this story moved you or made you think, or just left you with more questions than answers, that's exactly why we do this. Make sure you're subscribed here at Shadow Crime, and hit that bell icon, because the moment there's an arrest, the moment we get a name, you're going to want to be the first to know. We'll be back with the update the second this case breaks open.